G'day, welcome back to part whatever of this XR311, and it is going together so nice, as long as you read the plan properly, like I didn't a couple of times, and I sort of tricked myself up, but it is turning out to be a lovely kit to put together. I've said a couple of times in the previous videos, very reminiscent of the SRB chassis. All this metal, and well, the SRB's pretty much all metal in the suspension, but all these components just coming together, and yeah, I'm just loving it. Okay, so step 12, fitting our motor. That's interesting. Okay, so alright, so straight up, what did you hope to learn about here? We have an M2 nut. Alright, got my long screw here. Now this M2 nut that has to go into this housing before the motor goes in. So if you mount your motor, you can't get to that M2 nut to put it in, so make sure you do that first. Otherwise you'll be pulling your motor back out, and probably what's left of your hair. So again, we got this little plastic boss or bush that sits in that hole and just keeps that nut captive, and now our motor can go in. Pretty sure you don't see anything of this motor once the body goes on, and that's actually really cool. The motor bolts up to the front plate, but there's an actual cradle that your motor sits into. It's going to make it nice and easy. So yeah, like I said, you don't see this motor once everything's together, once the body's on, but I'm still going to put the sticker that way up. It'd be nice to put a pretty motor in there, but we don't have one, so we're not going to do that. You got all the parts together, done?
Until the wheels, but do you want to paint those wheels?
Yes, we do need to paint the wheel.
Not only that, but I noticed that it doesn't have a step 16 in here to put the wheels together. They just go together. You don't screw them together until here.
No, they screw onto the actual hub.
Yeah.
On the hub itself. As I said, you're going to have fun doing it. Zach's the wheel guy. He puts the wheels together.
Really?
Wheelie. See what you did there. Okay, where's our screw holes? There they are. So we have, what do we got? 2 3x6s. Pretty standard fare with mounting these motors. They're pretty much all the same. Except for the SRB, obviously, which just gets clamped in with a plastic case. This is probably going to have some heft to it once it all goes together. So we got this aluminum plate, which acts as your suspension limiter. See, if we take this off, that goes right down like that, which is actually quite a nice design. You're not going to break that in a hurry. And that just gets held captive with 4 M3 lock nuts. What are we watching now, mate?
Ads.
Oh, ads. Bloody ads. Unskippable ads. Good one, YouTube. So, since these screws are already tight, we should be fine. Oh, watching Fast Freddy again. Building the fast attack vehicle. Hello again, Freddy. So, yes, we've already tightened up these screws in the previous step, so you should be right to just run these nuts up tight. No, not tight, obviously. So in the next step, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to talk about the next step. We are installing what they're calling the change gear, but it's basically the spur gear in it. I guess it is a change gear. Now we are going for the low ratio, which is the slowest of the gear ratios. But Zach was doing the math, and unless he got it wrong, which is rare for him, he reckons the high ratio, you can get somewhere around a 4.5 to 1 gear ratio out of it, which is pretty tall, especially for a fragile kit such as this. The low ratio, what do you work out? About 11 to 1.
11 something to 1.
11 point something to 1, so that's a nice low ratio. Oh, you know what'll be cool actually? We don't have one. It'll be really good to put a like a 35 or 45 turn motor in this. That'll give you some nice scale control when you're driving the car around, because that's really all you'd probably do with this kit, isn't it? It's not a buggy that you go racing around the tracks with. And a steel pinion too. Nice. Why they do that with the SRBs too? Why do they always put steel pinions in the cars you're never going to bloody run? Why can't they put steel pinions in all the kits instead of that bloody metal, bloody alloy shit crap stuff? Okay. And that is a 15 tooth. It's exactly the same gear as out of the SRB actually. I think I should have heaps of spares then. Threadlock. I say heaps, probably a couple. Threadlock and our grub screw. And then onto our motor. Now, what's our pinion depth? Okay, so they don't give you a measurement like they do on most of your modern kits. What they're telling you to do is insert the gear of your choosing. Now, how they adjust for different gear drives is they've got a selection of 3 holes built into the casing, so that you should have a Sharpie or something. There you go. Now there is a bush. I'm only doing this to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. So your large gear, I'm not sure how that's supposed to work when there's a bloody great screw head in there. So your larger gear sets to the far right of that hole, or the far right hole, so that your, wherever I put it, your pinion meshes with the gear. Now if you're going with the high ratio, you would end up in the far left hole, and the medium ratio you'd end up with in the middle. So we're going for the low ratio, so I'm actually going to sit this bush in here first. It should just push in like that, yeah. All these bushes so far are a really nice tight fit. I'm loving it, it's great. You don't have this position on some of the newer kits. You just have to make sure that it is actually pushed all the way in. So we want a bit of grease inside that gear too. So we are actually very close to getting this car finished. I'll put a bit more grease on there for this second bush. Now, notice I haven't greased up any gears yet, which is fine, because we can do that before we put the cover plate on. So that is our, I guess it's a change gear. That's all we got to do there. Now with the pinion, now this is kind of a little bit awkward, because you got to set your pinion mesh without disrupting any of the other gears. Well, this change gear anyway. So what we need to do, our flat is facing straight up, so now we just need to, and I can actually use the driver to raise and lower the position of the pinion, and it's telling us to set the pinion pretty much in the center of that gear, which is, it's close. It can go a little bit further out. I don't think it's going to matter too much, but if they say center, let's go center. See, it makes it difficult because that change gear just wants to move back and forth. Yeah, okay, that's gonna do it. So now our cover can go on. Let's just double check we've done everything. And no, we haven't. We need grease. So glad you reminded me of that. And we're not going to be able to just turn the gears like I usually do, so I'm just going to spread the grease around wherever I can. There's another small gear molded into this large change gear that we obviously can't get to now, but it runs on that final drive gear, so it should pick up grease. Actually quickly running out of grease. They only give you one grease in this kit, mate?
Yeah.
Bugger. That's alright, we've got more grease. Grease for days. Okay. It is our greased up gears. Now, there I held on by 2mm screws. Wow. Okay, there's a big dag hanging off there, is that? Oh no. Ah, that's what those captive nuts are for. Okay, so we're not screwing into plastic. We're actually screwing into a nut. You've got to realise something else too. This is 1977, like I keep saying, but this is before your modern like AutoCADs and design software and the CNC machines and all that sort of stuff. So the guys who design this sort of stuff are just magic, and they go together perfectly. Well, that is our rear gearbox complete. There's only one thing to do. Pretty sure these batteries are still half good. So green is your negative. Look at that. Perfect. And actually pretty quiet, considering. Step 14, front suspension. So we can put that rear aside. So this suspension is something that I've been looking forward to doing, because it is, I wouldn't say completely different to anything I've done. The SRBs run torsion bar suspension for the rear, but that's slightly different. The torsion bar suspension in the rear of the SRBs, except for the what's that thing called?
Fighting buggy?
Fighting buggy. That's got Super Champ. That's got a different rear suspension setup, but the original SRBs basically have a spring like this, and which acts upon the rear control arms, and it just pretty much does that. Whereas these are independent torsion bars, sort of one for each wheel kind of thing. So where was I? Here. So we got our front end, so everything's upside down, Jane. So again, it's not telling you thread lock. All into metal parts. I think I'm going to thread lock that, because it just makes sense to do that. So thread lock in these fish plates or sandwich plates, or fish sandwich, whatever you want to call them. And spring washers again. Okay, that's it. So these two parts of the chassis, yes, these sit on the outside of the chassis, which is a very tight fit apparently. Okay, so we line up a couple of holes there, and that's going to be awkward doing it like that, I think, so I'm going to turn it up the other way. And again, we have holes in the chassis which are getting covered up by plates. I'm not too sure what the go is there. So, and this, so that's supposed to be a 3x6? Yes. Which gives you very little thread engagement on these plates. Very, very little. Okay, so make up another screw with a spring washer. And again, I have to skip an ad. Hey, tell you what, shout out to all you new subscribers. Thank you very much. I think the latest sub is, I think his name is Jason Cole. So, Jason, if you're watching, thank you very much, mate. Hope you enjoy what we come up with. So, these are actually going in quite easily. I thought I'd be struggling with these. And mate, if I got your name wrong, I'm sorry. I know your last name's Cole. Pretty sure it's Jason. And so these can get buttoned up. Okay, so that is our front end mounted. And I messed up again. Oh, remember way back when I said I got this bulkhead around the wrong way and this steering linkage wouldn't fit? I had to take everything apart and put it all back together. Well, I put this part on upside down. These bits are supposed to be on the top. So I'm going to go away and fix that and then bring you back when it's all done. I was just looking, there's no holes there for these torsion bars to go into. What's going on? Then I turned it around and had a look, and there's your holes on the bottom, and now I have to take it all apart again. Right. Okay. Now, hear me out. Where are we? 22 minutes. So this is going to be the end of the video, but I'll end the video by telling you a bit of a story. So I'm going to need a sip of coffee first. I'll tell you what, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? So, when I left you, I realised that I put this plate upside down on the front suspension setup. So I said I'll be back, I'll go and fix it. So I paused the video, took it all apart, turned that plate around the other way, and realised it was on the correct way the first time. See, I was looking inside the chassis here, and there was no holes for your torsion bars to go in. They're actually on the bottom. Yeah, they're right there. So I took it all apart for absolutely nothing. But the other funny thing was, when I was putting it back together, I was putting stuff back together wrong again. They were upside down, they were inside out. I had to pull it apart a good 3 or 4 times, I think. But we're going to have to bring you back for the suspension now, because video's getting a bit long. So hopefully you can have a laugh at my expense. I certainly am. So thanks for watching, thanks for your support, have a great day, and we'll see you when we get some torsion bars hooked up, maybe put some wheels on. We've got to paint the wheels in. Okay, see ya.